everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this Thursday night. Tuesday night. We're sorry for the little blip earlier with Sheriff Richard Mack. We had him, and our internet just went out on us, and it happens, and we're sorry. Hopefully, it won't go out on us tonight with this man. We got the late night, our double feature. We got the second half of the double feature with us tonight. Jeemes Akers is on the line. Buddy, good to see you tonight. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine. Pleasure to be with you.
Pleasure to have you. The world, all is not lost. The government may be shutting down by midnight, but at least the Reds are in the playoffs. And go Cincinnati is all I got to say. There used to be an old joke in Cincinnati, go Reds and take the Bengals with you. But now, not the Reds anymore. They're doing good this year. I guess you got to be happy as a baseball fan that your Reds are in the playoffs.
I sure am, but they showed a statistic on the screen a while ago that since 2013, the Dodgers have won 64 postseason games. Cincinnati, 0.
Uh-oh. Not a good hill to climb, but we can always hope for miracles, Akers. We can always hope for miracles.
That's right.
You know, that's all I got to say. But it's good to see you.
Right.
I do want to get your take on several things since we've had you on last week. Well, let's try to get you on once a week. And we do have this government shutdown. But I do want to talk with you about this Department of War event today where Hexteth and the president basically laid the law down to the military that nothing against fat folks, but they basically said that the age of wokeness and fatness is gone. You're going to have to be lean, mean, trim, and you're not going to be in a dress if you're fighting our battles for us in the country. And I can't say I disagree with all that. What's your thoughts on all that tonight?
No, I couldn't agree more. And there are two things I think worthwhile pointing out. Number one, they're starting to have requirements that soldiers be in shape in combat units.
Yes.
Gee, that's something unheard of these days. And then the second thing is we have the most top-heavy military in the world. We have more generals now than we had during World War II. And there needs to be some cutting of the fat, I think, in my opinion. So, it was sort of remarkable. It's the first time in history it's happened that the Department of War, so named now, called all the generals.
Yes,
I mean, every one of them to Washington, D.C., and they sort of laid down, a couple of the things with the new regime, including that the military is going to have to, defend the country against some of these enemies and wackos at home. So we'll see how it works out. I'm not sure that was. They, for the most part, from all the reports I get, they sat on their hands when they were read the riot act. So we'll see what happens.
Well, there's a new sheriff in town. There's a new general in town. There's a new commander in chief. This ain't Joe Biden. And they were playing videos of some of his leaders, and they literally said that they lowered the standards of the military for woke purposes, James, and that's what's got us in this mess. And look, if we'd had an armed conflict during these 4 years with Joe Biden, I don't think this country could have defended a picnic stand, to be frank with you. And look, I have nothing but respect for the military. I have nothing. My brother, we're a military family. Both my dad and my brother served. Todd was retired Air Force. Dad is retired Navy. And but the way that this wokeness had entered into the military, it was pathetic. And look, I have nothing against women serving if that's what they want to do, but if that's what they're going into, they've got to meet the same requirements as men. And we're not, and Pete Hexteth was laying it on the line. He said, I'm not going to put you, we're not going to put people out there that's going to get yourself killed if they can't handle the job. I don't care what gender they are. You're going to have to meet the standard. And that's the way I think it should be. It should have always been that way, correct?
No, it's not a a social justice institution.
Thank you.
It is an institution that is to defend this country against foreign enemies, period. And the same time that this was going on, and it may be a sort of a sleight of hand type of thing, there has been a tremendous buildup at our largest air base in the Middle East. And that is worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah. I'm with you there, buddy. Listen, I want to ask you also the other big news, couple of things tonight. I want to talk about the shutdown, and then I'm going to get to Israel because Israel's on my heart more than anything tonight. Do you think that the Dems are going to finally see the light and understand that we out here in modern America, middle class America, in the sensitive part of the world, not in D.C. and L.A., we don't want $1.5 trillion going to funding health care for illegal immigrants, and we don't want NPR refunded. We don't want CBS refunded. We don't care about the Democrat woke policy. We don't care about this Looney Tune bunch. You got the Speaker of the House actually melting down today over a meme that Trump did with him in the sombrero. Chuck Schumer doing the same thing. They spent more time discussing that sombrero, James, than they did the condition of the country. And this is the Democrat Party. And if I'm Trump, he's got nothing to lose. And if the government shuts down, all they're going to do is hand him the power to cut out more bureaucracy and waste. And now he can say, well, the government shut down, we can't fund it. They're literally giving him everything that Trump could ask for. And I think it may be divine intervention on this. I think that the Lord's allowing it to happen for that reason. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I read somewhere today that if there's a government shutdown, you have on the order of 750,000 government workers furloughed instantly. And, it's like a few years ago we had this situation close to us where in industry the unions walked out and they had to operate with a skeleton crew. And it turned out they were more productive with a skeleton crew than they were when they had all the labor unions, that refused to change a light bulb in the wrong place because they would have, a case filed against them. And so, my opinion, this is Jeemes Akers talking, the government needs to get leaner and meaner. The Democrats are fighting to extend Obamacare benefits to immigrants. They're fighting to keep spending levels at the pandemic levels, which are totally unrealistic now that emergency has ended. And there has to be some sort of fiscal sanity with the government, in my view. You and I would be thrown in jail if we ran our personal finances the way the government runs its finances.
I'm not going to disagree with that at all. I think you're absolutely right. And this fraud and waste and abuse has got to stop. And, if it takes the government being shut down to do it, then so be it. And I hope it backfires on the Dems, and they're going to wind up, James. They're right now only have an approval rating of 20. They're going to keep this mess up, and they're even going to lose the most hardcore base. Look, Bill Maher is a raging liberal. There is nothing conservative about Bill Maher, and he is out there just about every night now slamming his own party. Stephen A. Smith on ESPN, he's not a conservative. He's slamming his own party. You got Stephen A. Smith admitting that J6 was an inside job now, which 2 years ago he would have been screaming up and down that the J6ers, need to spend the rest of their lives in jail. And I think that the tide is turning, and I think that they're self-imploding. And again, what did they do today? Did they get before the American people, make their case for why they're wanting to shut the government down? No. They got up there and pitched a hissy fit and complained that Trump memed Hakeem Jeffries. That's the state of the Democrat Party. And it goes back to the military. That was the military under Democrat leadership. They had become this woke, as you said, social justice experiment. I don't want a military with a social justice experiment. I want a military that's going to defend us from enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's what we want and need, correct?
I couldn't agree more. I'm right with you. I'm climbing up on that
On
soapbox.
that soapbox, that's good. Hey, other big thing that I want to talk to you about tonight. But before I leave the shutdown, do you think they cave tomorrow? Do you think that this is just a show, a paper tiger? They're going to crumble like a paper tiger, or do you think they're going to hold out and cause harm to the country? Do you think that's stupid?
Well, it's getting pretty late in the day for anybody to cave on this, and in past history, the Democrats are used to the Republicans bending over and grabbing their ankles and just giving in at the end. It's a new day, and I'm thinking there may be a shutdown for at least a short term.
Okay, fair enough. And I think you're right there. Big other news is Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu came to the United Nations Friday, and haven't spoke to you since what happened Friday. These godless nations got up and walked out on him, except for a few. He comes to the White House yesterday, and I'm going to be the first to tell you I was very concerned about President Trump's statements last week about he did not want Israel to annex Judea and Samaria, which is basically the West Bank. And as I watched the body language yesterday of Bibi, Bibi apologized to Qatar for killing the Qatari citizen at the bombing of the hotel. This is Chris McDonald. I felt like that was probably forced upon him to do. And I respect Bibi for not wanting to show Trump up here. He smiled. He shook his hand. He said anything President Trump wants to do to end this war in Gaza, we're on board with. But James, they're not dealing with fair brokers. And is Israel being put in a no-win here by our government, or do you think that this is going to get worked out? That Hamas is going to say, "Okay, we're good. We're going to give up these hostages," and Trump set a deadline and. It's all talk, but if Hamas don't agree to this deal that supposedly all the Arab world is on board with, are we not back to ground zero and bombing the you-know-what out of Gaza again? I mean, that's the only thing Israel can do at this point. She's in a no-win no matter what she does, no matter what Bibi does. He seems to be in a no-win.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, and we repeatedly... in terms of U.S. foreign policy, we repeatedly put our most reliable ally in the Middle East in that no-win position, time after time after time again. And I think you're right. I think there was a ton of pressure from the White House, from the peace negotiator, from Trump. For them to make a statement that in the eyes of the world will make Israel look reasonable, but is tantamount to Israel, surrendering, as is always the case. That's always the pressure is always on Israel to make concessions. And there's no pressure on anybody else to make concessions. Right. It's always Israel that takes it in the flank. That's my view on it. I'm sure there's a ton of opposing view out there, but in my view, and of course I factor in spiritual types of things that our policymakers, for the most part, don't factor in.
Right.
But it's we're repeatedly asking Israel to take the bullet when they are always just one step away from being annihilated, and that's why what I see the situation unfolding here.
Would you have apologized to Qatari? Because the way I look at Qatar, and I'm going to get your opinion about this, because this is needs to be discussed. What I believe, and I don't really have full proof about this, but this is my gut. Hamas did not have the funds and the money, because we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of October the 7th, next Tuesday night, and we hope that you can be with us because we're going to do a special. It's going to be all dedicated next Tuesday night to the 2-year anniversary of this horrific event. I do not believe, Jeemes, that Hamas had the funds to pull this off on their own. Somebody financed that operation. My opinion, again, as you famously say, this is Chris McDonald, just like you say, this is Jeemes Akers. I believe the Qatari government had their hand in it. Why would they be housing those Hamas leaders at a hotel? I don't care what they're saying publicly. Those Hamas leaders evidently felt safe enough to go to a hotel in Qatar and get together for their meeting because they would have went anywhere else. Why did they choose Qatar? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist here, but I'm just giving this food for thought. I'm gonna get your opinion about it. Benjamin Netanyahu finds about it. The Israeli government finds out about it. They launch an operation, and yes, it was a hotel. Yes, a civilian got killed. There was damage, but they were not attacking Qatar. They were attacking the Hamas leadership that hatched the October the 7th slaughter. Granted, it didn't get all the leadership, but it got a great deal of them. And Benjamin Netanyahu has to shame himself yesterday and say, hey, I'm sorry for basically killing terrorists in your country, when nobody's asking the question, James, what in the blank was these terrorists doing in Qatari the first place, unless they were welcomed by the Qatari government. Now, I know that there's a reasonable explanation for this in the Arab media and the Arab press. That's Chris McDonald's question tonight. I'm just a South Georgia boy. I just look at these things from common sense lens. What's James's take on that?
Well, historically, the Qataris who view themselves as sort of brokers in the Middle East have hosted Hamas leaders for years. This is nothing new. This is not new policy for the Qatari government. They've done this for years, and the Israelis have tolerated it. They have known it. It's an open secret in intelligence circles, and they decided to act. They just sent a shot across Qatari bows. There's in the Middle East, as we have discussed many times, there is a dance that has taken place over hundreds of years, and these parties know where the red buttons are. They know when they've gone too far. The Qataris went too far. They got whacked for it. Netanyahu apologized to try to put a Band-Aid on the diplomatic situation, and all will return to the same old dance that they've always had. But now the Qataris are going to be just a step more cautious in the way that they host Hamas and the other terrorist groups. And so the Israelis did, in my view, what they had to do. The Qataris responded in a way that the Arab world had expected them to respond. Netanyahu made an empty apology because he was pressured by Washington. And so the game goes back to the same game board with the sides, the red lines just a little bit more deeply engraved, and that's Jeemes Akers' view.
No, I think it's a great view. Do you trust the Qataris? Do you think they're fair brokers in this?
No, but I don't think anybody in the Middle East would be a fair broker. And
Somebody said that last night in our chat. There ain't no fair brokers over there. I'm with you. Keep going. Keep going.
but we do have the Qataris have invested themselves in terms of modern technology, and they are highly dependent on the U.S. Nvidia and the other producers for their aspirations to become a global technology power, and so they need us to do that, and they probably need the Israelis as well. So they're as close as you're going to get to a broker, but they still live in a Muslim world, and it's a Muslim country, and there's still that deep-rooted hatred of the Jews, and no matter what their needs are, no matter what comes out of their mouth in terms of being honest brokers, that is always a balancing consideration.
Got another question for you. It's a tough question because it's an opinion question, but it's also it's the age-old attempt by this government, James. And it's not just America, but America has been just as guilty of this as Europe's been, of trying to force the Israelis to give up their land. And President Trump, what he said the other day, it startled me because there's some spiritual forces that are. It's funny, we have not had a landfalling hurricane on this country this year. And when he said that statement last week, we had two hurricanes that were headed right for America, and the Lord has now sort of shifted them away. So we're going to wind up getting a break again, and neither hurricane, the one that was Category 4 or 5, has touched us, come close, and Imelda looks like she's going to go off the coast. But it was really weird that when Trump made the statement about the West Bank and the Judea Samaria thing, that these hurricanes got real close and then they went off almost like a warning. But my question to you is this: are we playing with fire when we tell Israel they can't annex that West Bank? Because has it not been proven for over 25 years now that Israel's gotten nothing out of giving the Palestinians control of that area other than terrorist bombings, in Gaza in the same way? And at some point, Israel's got to say, look, let's cut bait and run. I mean, it's like an investment, man. You've given them everything they've wanted, and they've done nothing but return unkind and kill your people. I don't see where Israel is wrong in doing that, and I'm just curious what you thought Trump's purpose in that. Is he appealing to the Arabs, who, again, are not our friends, and we're backstabbing our ally when we're saying that? Or do you see it differently? Do you think it's strategic? And do you think Trump and Bibi are saying behind the scenes, I'll say it publicly, but you do what you got to do privately? What's your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think Trump's trying to appeal to a group and the peace negotiator and this, that, and the other. There's a strategy to put in moderate Palestinians if they can find them, and appease them. But that's a long-standing sort of blind spot in U.S. policy, in my view, and I'm not sure how successful it'll be. But again, as we're sitting here speaking, there's the largest buildup of American forces that has taken place in a long time at Qatar, our largest air base in the region. So there are different moving parts that are taking place that right now, quite honestly, we're not privy to. And so the strategy of the administration moving forward to have Bibi apologize and to sort of put a fig leaf of Israeli cooperation in the region so as to get Hamas to release those prisoners is an interesting strategy. We'll see if it works.
How would you rate Bibi's performance? I'm going to tell you what I give the man. I was saying this today to a friend. I had a lot of respect for him to begin with, but watching him handle himself at the UN Friday and watching him handle himself in the face of this, having to take one for the team in the White House, my respect for that man went up 1,000,000%. I know that he's vilified out there in the media. He's vilified on X. He's vilified in Telegram. He's vilified on Facebook. He's vilified by politicians. He's vilified by social media people. He's called the devil, the Antichrist. He's called every name in the book, a butcher, a demon. I believe Bibi Netanyahu, James, has been one of Israel's best prime ministers. I know he's not perfect, no more than any other leader is, but I have great respect for the man. And I want to just say this, and this is one of my soapbox again. All these jackanapes out there that say, well, we would support Israel if Bibi Netanyahu wasn't the leader. That is an absolute fallacious lie. Bibi is their scapegoat. But I'm going to tell you something, Trump would not have half the success he would have in dealing with this situation if he was dealing with a left-wing prime minister in Israel and not Bibi Netanyahu. We wouldn't even be at this precipice tonight to get this thing stopped. And I'm not so sure that there would have been anything but a Hamas bloodbath again. We may have had another October the 7th, James. And people had better respect that and better understand that, look, Bibi may not be perfect, but he is a daggum good piece of this, and we better be grateful for him just like we are President Trump. That's my opinion. I know that's not shared by the idiots out there that are anti-Semitic and Jew haters, but that's just my take. What's your take on that?
Let me put it this way. This is the only metric that counts. On the Akers Cojones Award, Bibi gets a 10 out of 10.
I love it. Okay. Say that again. I heard it, but I want you to say it again, just for the laugh. That's good.
Yeah, the Akers Cojones Award of the year, Bibi gets a 10 out of 10.
I'll give you that.
Nobody else comes close. He walks into enemy territory, takes all the flack. Tries his best to balance Israeli interests in the world with this pressure from the United States, is on a constant tightrope in terms of domestic politics and international politics, and the guy just stays consistent with his convictions.
I'm with you. And I'm going to tell you something. I hear people complaining that it took him 2 years to fight this war. He would have had it probably won in 15 minutes had he been able to do what he really wanted to do instead of the world pressure on him and all this crap coming from the UN and the United States and all this pressure from him from the world telling him, well, we can't, that response that you're doing, Biden tried to tie his hands for a year. Well, the response is not in proportion to what happened. That is bull crap. Bullshit is what I call it. Look, anything he would have done, James, after that massacre that killed 1,200 Israelis, do you realize that would have been 40,000 Americans? If you look at the nation, the population, compared to the figure of Israel's population, what they killed and what they injured, you're talking 40,000 Americans. I would have loved to have seen any president who had any kind of salt or guts have somebody slaughter 40,000 Americans and then tell us, well, you can't go out and defend yourself, and some kind of war that we don't like is not proportionate to what you did to your 40,000 American citizens. That's crap. I hate to tell the world, I hate to tell all these anti-Semitic fools, that's crap. That's crap. And I'm getting fired up about it because I'm sort of sick of hearing the fact that this is bad optics. And this is bad press. And even President Trump was like, well, it's not a good look for this. What in the blank is a good look for a nation that suffered the atrocities that they suffered on October the 7th? Please explain that to me of what a good look would be. It's fortunate Chris McDonald ain't the Prime Minister of Israel. I would not have cared. There would not be Hamas terrorists left on this earth if it was left up to me tonight. Go ahead.
No, I may not be as fiery as you are about it, but I do think that following the massacre and the fact that after 2 years the hostages are still there, and Hamas, despite having their leadership decimated, refuses to budge an inch on it, and now we're begging them to release the hostages and consider negotiations over these hostages. In my mind, it just beggars the imagination. Free up Israel's hands. Let them do what they need to do.
Well, James, and I don't care whether Bibi lost the media or not. I don't care. The media is about as evil and wicked as sin. Look, Trump loses the media every day. The man has got guts, and I would tell the world, I will stand and defend him for what he's done, because I don't think we would. I've seen. Look, you've got Ehud Olmert. I know if you remember the left-leaning Israeli prime minister from the 90s. He was very liberal, very left-leaning, and he has been out there this week almost sympathizing with Hamas, sympathizing with the perpetrators of October the 7th in the press. And I just want to know what these people out there that believe that Bibi is evil would do if they had a Ehud Olmert in power tonight that had basically let Hamas do this to Israel and then basically tell Israel we're not going to do nothing about it to retaliate. I wonder what the cry would be. I tell you what would happen in America. All these anti-Semites would be applauding it. Oh, he's the most wonderful man in the world. Israel's a great nation because they let Hamas kill 1,200 of their people and they didn't do anything about it. Wonderful. That's the kind of people that want to run this country, brother. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't have anything to add to that. I agree with that, and I'm pro-Israeli to a point, and I think that for spiritual reasons and in terms of practical diplomacy, Israel's the only ally we have in the region. It's the only country we can really trust, and we need to align our foreign policy to reflect that reality.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that totally. And I'm just, I do not believe that these hostages are going to be released no more than Adam's house cat. I just don't. I think that all of this is maybe that's what all this was about yesterday, was just to show the world, to give cover to Bibi. Because Trump, he's got to know that he's not dealing with the right kind of people with Hamas. He's got to know that. And I don't think that he would have any delusions of grandeur that their hostages are coming home. And the way I look at it, Bibi just needs to wrap this up, annex Gaza, annex the West Bank. It's Israel. Let me change this. Let me say it like this, and we'll finish this up tonight. What people don't remember, James, they need to remember this tonight, and they need to write this down somewhere and remember this every day. That land don't belong to the United States over there. That land ultimately don't even belong to Israel. That land belongs to God, and he's given it to Israel out of his sovereignty. He has declared that the seed of Abraham is going to inherit that land from the Mediterranean all the way to the Euphrates. And whatever Israel does in giving it away, it's not even hers to give. And it certainly ain't the United States' place to tell Israel what to do with it. That's just how I feel about it. I'll let you wrap us up on that thought. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I'm pretty much in line, Chris, with the way you view this thing. I think we both view it, in a similar way. There's been a long history, and in recent times there was a so-called Kissinger deal going back to the Nixon days, when we made a deal when we were waiting in this country. I remember those days when your license plate, according to the letters, your license plate dictated whether you could go to a gas station and get gasoline or not because of the OPEC pressure. And there was a deal made that the United States, and this is a Kissinger arrangement, that the United States would provide for the defense of these Arab countries in return for them exclusively selling oil to the United States. It was an oil for protection type of arrangement. That arrangement has held in large part for several years. Only in the last year or so has it started to break down quite a bit, and that is a direct result of when Hamas jumped the gun 2 years ago and crossed over the border and massacred Israeli citizens. There was some sort of logic to American strategy and policy, and that just upset the entire apple cart. And Israel had to respond, and they wiped out the Hezbollah leadership.
Yes.
They went into Iran. They have pretty much reestablished at least a military superiority in the Middle East. But now the Arabs are starting to sort of chafe at the bit, and have started courting these other countries, China and other countries, and the old Kissinger arrangement is breaking down, and the United States has to figure out a strategy what is going to replace that. And all of that causes angst at the State Department, at the Pentagon, and in the other organs of the American government that have a responsibility for putting together that sort of policy. And so that is what is really going on in the Middle East. We're trying to keep these countries sort of in line and under the old agreement and the old arrangements, and we're watching it break down. And there's a new day of technology. It's not the old Saudi kingdom that it used to be,
That's
which
true.
relied exclusively on
That's true.
oil. The Jordanians seem to be pursuing sort of a middle course, probably the best of all the countries in the Middle East, and Israel finds itself in a different strategic neighborhood these days, and everybody is sort of scrambling to figure out what the new order is going to be looking forward, and I'm not sure we've figured it out yet, and that is one of the things, in my view, that makes the Middle East so fascinating to look at. And we're going to see over the next couple of years, certainly through the Trump administration, a diplomatic maneuvering and attempts to forge and put together the old alliance and the old systems that we have counted on for so long.
I'm with you, buddy.
And Israel just plays a pivotal role in all of that. And it's not like Israel is united in its domestic politics. I mean, Bibi faces as much fire at home as he does abroad, and there's pressure on the Israelis from every corner, including their domestic populace.
Yeah.
It's a strange world we live in, Master Jack. And isn't that what that song you sang?
Yes, that's it. That's
Strange
it.
world.
Strange world.
We're living in, and the Middle East is just very much a component of that strange world, and the Ukraine, it seems to be getting weirder by the day, and all of these things, and things are unraveling in Africa, and there's unrest in several countries in Asia, and it's just the old order is trying to figure out how to reconstitute itself. And that is one of the questions of our times.
I'm with you, buddy. Couldn't have said it better. Jesus is coming soon. That's all I know. I know that he's on his way, and we better be getting ready for his return. And all these things are signs that he is at the door. Listen, I appreciate you being with us tonight, and we'll pick this up next week. I'll get with you because I do want you to be part of this October the 7th special next week. And we'll definitely get you in, and hope you have a wonderful evening. Go Reds! Go Reds!
Go Reds! They're down 5-0 right now.
Well, tomorrow's another day.
Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a new day.
Best 2 out of 3. So they still got a couple of shots at it, but I know it's gonna be a tough order with them Dodgers. Listen, have a good night, buddy.
Chris, always a pleasure being with you, and I'll consider it a privilege to be a part of your program on Tuesday as we remember that horrific act that just absolutely changed the entire political landscape in the Middle East.
It is, buddy, and it's still changing it tonight. Listen, God bless, friend. We'll be in touch, okay? Have a great week. God bless you, friend.
You too. Bye.
Good night. Jeemes Akers, everybody. We are grateful and to have him tonight. Our apologies for the blip earlier tonight. We'll on the first show, but we're grateful that Jeemes could be with us tonight. It seems the internet settled down here for us later into the evening, and we're grateful that you're here. Now we've got about we've been going right at 45 minutes. I'm going to keep you 15 more minutes. And if you got a question, and Corey, I'm with you. BB has got Corey's Aguilar. Good to see you tonight, friend. She makes a good point. She says BB has lost the media, and no matter what he does, he'll always get negative coverage. And I'm with you on that. I think that since he's lost the media, it shouldn't matter. He should just go do what he's got to do. Trump's lost the media. All of them have lost the media. I think what happened though, and this is the oxymoron about all this. This is the crazy thing. He got hammered by his Jewish media, the media in Israel and Jerusalem, when he apologized to Qatari. He's been demonized as a warmonger and demonized as a killer. He's been demonized as this, a genocider, a baby killer. He's been demonized and called every name in the book for being strong. And now the Jewish media is trashing him for cowering down and apologizing. Can't win. So in reality, your statement is correct, but if I'm Bibi Netanyahu, I wouldn't give 2-bit pins what the media says about me and do my job. Just do what he's got to do. And I will say this about President Trump. I love President Trump. He's the president of the United States. He's not the president of Israel and the prime minister of Israel. And Bibi needs to do what's best for Israel, just like we need to do what's best for America. I know President Trump wants to bring this war to an end. I don't think there's anybody out here with a soul tonight, with any soul, that does not want to see this war come to an end. It's been atrocious. But I think we cannot forget why this war was started. Israel didn't start this war. This war was started by Hamas. And until Hamas is dealt with, then Israel has got every moral right to do what they're doing. They've got every national right to do it. They've got more than the high ground to do it. But because of this raging anti-Semitism and this raging Israel rhetoric. We got a story on our newswire tonight. I want to show you this. I think that I've got it here, and I want to see it right here. Right here, it's out of Breitbart tonight. This is a New York Times poll, and support for Israel has actually dropped. Has actually dropped thanks to Democrat policies. It says America's support for Israel is plummeting, but remains largely steady among Republicans. A new poll revealed Monday the drop is almost entirely to a precipitous decline in support for Israel among Democrats. I got to say something about that. I'm going to bring my camera up. I just want to tell all the hypocrites on the right that hate Israel too, you're aligning yourself with the Democrats when you do, because they don't like Israel. And folks, I know it seems like I'm beating a dead horse, but there's some spiritual forces that are behind this. I'm telling you, this is a spiritual issue in this country. It is not political. We're not promoting a state, but there is a biblical mandate for us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And that is praying for the soon return of the Lord Jesus Christ. He's coming to Jerusalem, Israel, when he returns. That's his city. His name is on that city. God's name is on that city. God's name is on that country. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's surname is Israel. And you can interchange Israel in Jacob's name. That means he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. But the support is sinking, and it shouldn't surprise us. The New York Times Siena poll was reported under the headline, American support for Israel drastically declines. The real news was buried paragraphs later. Much of the shift in views on Israel have been driven by a sharp decline in support by Democrat voters. Republicans largely continue to support Israel, though there has been a modest decline. 7 in 10 Republicans say they supported providing additional aid to Israel. A majority of Republicans said Israel should continue the military campaign until all hostages are released, even if it meant civilian casualties. And 47% said that the Israeli military has taken enough precautions to prevent civilian deaths. That should have been 97%. Folks, I don't know what else Israel could do to prevent civilian casualties. I don't get it. Republicans still sympathize with Israel more than Palestinians, 64% to 9%. But those numbers indicate a drop of 12 percentage points since 2023, when 76% sided with Israel. One of the reasons of the Democrats' fall in support is the increasing radicalization of this party. Another is cultural. As former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. told Breitbart in 2018, since Democrats increasingly reject the cultural, and let's just say the biblical prerequisites of nationalism, land, territory, military, that Israelis still embrace. But perhaps the most important factor is President Donald Trump, because Democrats hate him so much and he has become more associated with Israel, so Democrats have become more anti-Israel. With Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu calling Trump the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House, it is arguably inevitable that Democrats will sour on the Jewish state even more, despite historic support. I want to just say this about President Trump tonight, folks. I'm not criticizing President Trump. I told you this last night on Ricky's show. I'm going to say it again tonight. I get his reasoning and trying to find a peaceful out and to find an end to this war. And I do believe that statement. He has been a tremendous friend of the Jewish state. I can tell you this much. He has not given the Palestinians a thing. And I don't know the total reason behind him not wanting Israel to annex the Judea and Samaria right now. I do know why Bibi Netanyahu wants to do it. I don't know why President Trump don't want him to do it. And I'm going to save my opinion on that, because I know in the days and weeks and months to come, that will become more in focus. But I do agree with that statement that President Trump has been the greatest friend Israel has ever had. I remember in 2003, when George W. Bush Jr. was in office, a lot of the Israeli government at that time under Ariel Sharon thought he was. And he turned out to be nothing but a backstabber and traitor because he basically pressured Sharon into giving up the Gaza Strip. And that has led, folks, ultimately to where we were 2 years ago on October the 7th. That decision has proven to be one of Israel's most deadliest concessions to the United States. That was done strictly under the pressure of George W. Bush Jr. and his administration. And Israel has gotten nothing but bloodshed, death, terrorism, and they've really got that out of the West Bank. It has calmed down. There's still isolated incidents from time to time, but during the time of 2000 to 2002, under Yasser Arafat, it was a nonstop barrage of suicide bombings that they tried to take Israel down, take Jerusalem. And folks, I don't see anything changing with the Palestinians. They still hate Israel. They still want Jerusalem for no reason other than just to get Israel off the land. They don't care about Jerusalem. They don't care about the temple. It's not like they care about any of those things. It's just we want Israel destroyed. So President Trump is walking a fine line tonight, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not trying to say that he's turned evil and turned anti-Israel. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that this is one area that he needs to be very careful how he treads, because this is one of the areas. Look, he can fix this economy. He can get the stock market percolating. He can close our borders. He can do all sorts of wonderful things. But this thing with Israel is only part of this that has a spiritual connotation and a spiritual reaction. In other words, things that he does with this have a spiritual ramification to it in the heavens. This other stuff is just national political stuff. Israel's not. Israel is not. I know it's hard for this current atmosphere to see that. I know this current toxic, whatever you call it on the internet, but it is pathetically sad that people don't see that. But anyway, Janet says, regarding the hostages, I can't imagine that any of them are still alive. Janet, that is absolutely true, and I'm with you on that. I'm surprised that we even have 20 left, and God knows what they've been through. They're going on 2 full years in captivity, and the torture. Look, the ones that have been released have been telling stories of undue torment and undue torture of what they were put through by the Hamas terrorists. It's tremendously sad. And I think that we're still not going to get the full picture of October the 7th, even right now, till down the road when they all get home. And I think that, perhaps Israel has... I don't think when we see the full picture of what's happened, most Americans only saw what the media showed them. There's been a lot of things the media has not showed them about the torture that went on because of the sensitivity of it. But I think people need to see it. I think people need to see exactly what these hostages went through, what they did to these people. I don't know if that will even matter to some, because some people's hearts are so hardened it won't matter, but they need to see it. And I'm with you on that. And Roger, that's what I just said about the Democrats. That's what the article said. The Democrats hate Trump and Trump supports Israel. That's what that article said. Well, Pat and Deb, I know you don't believe in polls, but I think that poll is accurate. I think that poll is very accurate. I think the Democrats hate Israel to the point, and I think that the Republicans, I don't. Look, I see just as much crap on the right about Israel that I do on the left. Some of the biggest voices on the right side of things in this country, they've just gone all out crazy. And people that you wouldn't expect, people of faith even, are losing their sensibility about this tiny nation because they don't study the Bible, number one. Number two, the devil gets in their head. That's part of it right there. The devil gets in people's thoughts, and they believe it. They don't listen to God. They don't listen to the Bible. They don't listen to the Holy Spirit. They listen to the devil. They listen to Satan and false teachers and false prophets. But that's what people do. And anyway. Anyway, that's over on Facebook tonight. Good to see everybody. Carol Smith says maybe the timing isn't right for annexation right now. Ending the war is Trump's priority. Carol, you may be ultimately right about that. That may be his thinking, and I'm willing to give him that. Maybe that's what he meant. And again, that's why I'm saying I'm not going to judge that statement, because again, my knee-jerk reaction at first was not good, but given a few days to think about it, you may be right, and I think that's a good point, that maybe his priority is the war. But he did say today he's given Hamas, I think, a 3-day window to either come to the table, bring these hostages home, or he is going to basically unleash Israel to bring down almighty hell again on them. And I do not believe, though, and I guess I'll either be proven right or wrong on this by time, I do believe Qatar was involved in this event. Whether they financed it, they were aware of it, Yemen, all these Arab countries that are playing dumb and acting like they didn't know anything about it, I don't believe in any one of them. I think it was Elaine Willard last night that said, we can't trust any of these Arab countries, and we can't. I don't trust the Saudis. I don't trust Jordan. I don't trust any of them. I just don't. And, I know there are some moderate countries. We call them moderate. You hear that in the terms. These are moderate Arab countries. There's no such thing, folks. There's no such thing. Their religion of Islam is the same across the board. The only thing is, and what I was told, I read a book one time by Mark Gabriel, and he made a great point. He said, if the Muslims of this earth actually were good Muslims, it's sort of the same principle about good Christians. If we really had Christians that actually practice Christianity, the world would be different. But we got a lot of Christians that don't. They just mouth stuff. They're parrots. That's what they are. They're chinos, Christian in name only, but they don't really act like Christians. But he said if the Muslim world acted out what their holy book calls for, he said there would be nothing but World War 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. We would have bloodshed on our hands like we've never had it. So there is no such thing as a moderate Muslim. There's either somebody that just don't. It's like Bill Federer said. The moderate Muslim believes submission is coming later. The jihadist Muslim wants it done now. They both want submission. And they want their way of thinking to dominate nations. And they're doing it to the good old United States of America from within. And they are migrating over here. And they are building their cities. They're taking over cities. They're taking over states. They're taking over city councils. They're taking over entire communities. And guess what, New York City? You're about to hand the keys over to one, a major one, who won't even condemn Hamas. So enjoy oblivion when you do. Enjoy it, because you're about to experience what we've been warning about for years. It's coming to this country. Well, New York City is going to be a poster child for what's coming if things don't change soon. He's up by 28 points right now on Cuomo. That's his closest competitor. 28 points as of tonight. 5 weeks to go to the election. Unreal. Let's see. Anything else that you got tonight? Christy says, do you think a stack of pancakes have a higher IQ than the Democrat Party? I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not going to disagree with that. A stack of pancakes. They probably have a higher IQ. By the way, folks, I got to show you this. A couple of videos. This is the thing that triggered Hakeem Jeffries tonight and Schumer. This is what the Democrats were worried about. This was Trump's meme yesterday on True Social, maybe in today's. Watch this.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know? At least for a while.
Excuse the language.
They learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Excuse the language. I didn't test it before I put it on there. I didn't think Trump posted that. That's that real Donald Trump. He posted that. That's funny. That's hilarious. That's what Hakeem Jeffries was upset about tonight. The whole Democrat Party was upset about it tonight. Crazy. By the way, folks, this is the media. Corey, speaking of the media, CBS was interviewing a victim from October the 7th. I want you to listen to the question that CBS asked this individual. Roll tape.
Ask maybe a hard question. There are going to be people who watch this and say, you're giving this space to this man to share his story. What about the 60,000 plus people in Gaza who've been killed?
First of all, they need to remember who started October 7th.
Thank you.
If someone can explain to me how you fighting against a terror organization that hiding behind his own population without people to get hurt, innocent people, I don't know how to do it.
Thank you, sir. And let me tell you, let me put that in perspective. The CBS reporter was trying to get him to have sympathy for the Gazan people who are run by Hamas, who voted for Hamas to run their people. And I love what he said. He said, explain to me how that we who didn't start this war should have sympathy for 60,000 people that basically support the terrorist organization that did. Look, folks, I hate the death. I hate the death. This is not a gleeful thing. It's not like we're sitting back applauding that 60,000 Gazans have been slaughtered. They didn't need to be slaughtered. But in the war of trying to get to Hamas, Hamas used those 60,000 Gazans as shields. In many cases, they were used as shields. That's not Israel's fault. That's not Israel's fault, Matt. It's not Israel's fault, Candace. It's not Israel's fault, Tuck. It's not Israel's fault, Stu. It's not Israel's fault. I can name a few other names tonight, but I'll be nice. I'll be nice. This is Nick Sotor. One final video, and we'll call it a night.
Led 300 federal officials to that apartment complex. Some even rappelled down from Blackhawks onto the rooftop in order to help secure that perimeter. Now, they were searching for suspected members of the violent Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. Of course, TDA has been designated as a terrorist organization under the Trump administration. Now, it was the biggest show of force that we've ever seen on the ground here. We had agencies, FBI, Border Patrol, ICE, and ATF all involved here, and they were all looking for targets in that same exact building. It was a 5-story building. It was a tall task for them, and anything could have gone wrong. But luckily, the operations went pretty smoothly. Preliminary reports show that about 30 illegal immigrants were arrested in this operation, some of them suspected Tren de Aragua. Now, we talked with Chief Gregory Bovino, who's running the operations on the ground for many of these ops in Chicago, and he had some words for people that are pushing back against his operations. Take a listen.
How about you live in the apartment next door to Tren de Aragua members that are trafficking in prostitution, guns, drugs, and taking advantage of American citizens in a violent way? Why don't you live next to them and then see how much of a Gestapo or a Nazi we are?
Yep, and what that story is, that's out of Chicago tonight. Trump has basically, the ICE agents went to a Chicago apartment and found these Tren de Aragua terrorists, and Chicago's upset about it tonight. The government's upset about it. The mayor's upset. Pritzker's upset. Pritzker's been out there tonight saying Trump needs to be 25th Amendment, that he needs to have a dementia test given to him. Wow, that's rich coming from the Dems, isn't it? Isn't that rich? This CBS reporter needs to be fired. This was pathetic to even ask a hostage that, you know, I'm giving you a platform, but tell me, how do you feel about the terrorists that did this to your people? Pathetic. All righty. I'm going to go get me a sombrero hat, I think, for Thursday night. We have got a great week ahead. Our faith show's tomorrow. We're going to have a prayer meeting tomorrow night at 7. We'll probably need it. We need it. This country needs it. We need one every night, to be frank with you. But we're going to have a midweek service. And we got a special guest, John Anderson, coming. You've never heard of him before. He'll be with us. It's going to be a medical type interview. We're going to deal with some things. He's in the medical community. We'll have a late show Thursday night, probably a new show. And Brad Johnson's coming back next week. Eric Heron, we're going to try to get him on. Angelina Marie will try to be with us next week. And we're going to try to get Brandon's pastor. I thought about Eli today. Pastor Eli had a great lunch, great fellowship time with him today. And we'll talk about that more tomorrow night on our face side. But I'd love to get him on. And Mark White will be back with us soon. And so we got a lot of great guests. Magdalene Rose will be back. And we hope that you'll join us this week. We are grateful to have you on this Tuesday night late show. Did you get something out of the show tonight? We want to thank Sheriff Mack earlier. We want to thank Jeemes Akers tonight. Great insight to him and so forth. CJ, you said the replacement theology has wreaked havoc in the home camp. I'm glad to reach peace, but I just don't trust all those we shook hands with. CJ, the replacement theology is in the church, and you're right. Jay Morris says, do I see him roll out the Trump 2028 hats? I did hear that tonight, Jay, that Trump, when Hakeem and I swear it's so funny. That was a funny video. I have to send it to my brother. I think my brother will appreciate that kind of humor. I got to start watching these videos before I put them on my show, though. It could have been worse. But Trump to do that, it got Hakeem lit up. He got lit up. The Dems were out there acting tonight like this was a national security matter, that Trump needed to be impeached over it. They can't take a joke. They just can't take a joke. It's funny. Anyway, God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. It's late tonight. I'm going to let you go now. And may you have a wonderful evening. We're sorry for the little blip earlier, but we're grateful that you stayed with us tonight for the late show. Stay with us. We got a great day of faith tomorrow. A great show coming Thursday night. And with the weekend coming up, we'll be back here Sunday morning, Sunday night, of course, with our faith Bible studies. And should breaking news happen, we'll cut in. And we're always, we'll probably do a Facebook Live sometime Friday for you with some thoughts about this week. Our prayers for President Trump, folks. I mean this. We need to pray for our president like we've never prayed for him before, his cabinet, Pete Hegseth, and all the cabinet, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem, Bibi Netanyahu, Israel, as this earth is going nuts right now, and so forth. We're going to have some thoughts on Charlie Kirk's situation. I'm going to save those till Thursday night. I've got some things I want to share with you, but I'm just not in the frame of mind to do it tonight. But I've got some thoughts that I'm going to share with you. We'll maybe do on the Bible study in the morning too. Bible study all week. So if you up in the morning around 9 or 10 Eastern, come on, join us. We're having a good time in there. We really are having some good studies in the morning. And so come on, be with us. And bring your notebooks, bring your Bibles, your pens, and an open heart. You'll get blessed when you do. We're going to have a full day of faith tomorrow, and looking forward to that. God bless you. God bless your families, and God bless this great nation of America. Chris McDonald out on a Tuesday night, the final day of September. September the 30th, 2025. We're almost done. 65 days to Christmas, right? No, 30, 60. 85 days to Christmas. 85 days to Christmas. It'll be here before you know it. It'll be here before Hakeem finds out he's got a sombrero hat on the top of his head. So it'll be here quick. It'll be here quick. Be blessed out there. Have a good night, everybody.